As I stepped into the bustling diner, the familiar scent of greasy burgers and fresh coffee enveloped me like a warm hug. It was a typical Saturday morning, and I was ready for another shift as a waitress. The diner, a local favorite, was packed with families, friends, and regulars, all enjoying their meals and sharing laughter. But this day was different. This day would change everything. I had seen a lot during my time at the diner, but nothing could prepare me for what unfolded that morning. It started when a family of 4 walked in, a couple with their 2 kids, laughing and chatting as they made their way to a table near the window. They were Asian, and I could feel the tension in the air change as they entered. I didn't understand it then, but I would soon find out just how deep-rooted prejudice could be. As they settled in, I approached their table with my notepad ready. "Good morning. What can I get you today?" I asked cheerfully. But before they could respond, I caught the eye of a fellow waiter, Tom. He was standing at the counter, arms crossed, a scowl on his face. He shook his head slowly, and I felt my heart sink. I knew what he was implying, but I didn't want to believe it. Still, I turned back to the family, forcing a smile. I'm really sorry, but we don't serve your kind here," Tom said, his voice dripping with disdain. The shock on the family's faces cut me deep. I wanted to scream, to yell at him that what he said was wrong, but I froze. Fear held me back. I didn't want to lose my job or be ostracized by my coworkers. Instead, I stood there, paralyzed, watching as the family's smiles faded, replaced by confusion. They exchanged glances, and the mother, with tears welling in her eyes, whispered, "We just wanted to eat." My heart ached for them. I could feel their pain, but I felt powerless. Instead of stepping in, I turned my back, walking away to get a cup of coffee for another table. As I poured the steaming brew, my mind raced. How could Tom say something like that? How could I let it happen? I kept glancing over at the family, who sat silently, looking around as if searching for an ally. The diner was packed, but no one spoke up, no one stood with them. The animosity in the air was palpable. Minutes later, the door swung open, and in walked the mayor, an imposing figure with a reputation for being a champion of equality and social justice. I felt a rush of hope. Maybe this would be the turning point. I watched as he made his way to the counter, greeting patrons along the way. My heart raced as he approached the family's table. "Good morning. What can I get you?" he said with a warm smile, completely oblivious to the hostility that had just transpired. The family looked up, surprised and relieved. They started to order, and I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe they would be served after all. But then Tom stepped in. "Sorry, Mr. Mayor, but we don't serve them here," he said bluntly. It was as if the room had frozen. Everyone turned to look at the mayor, who stood there, mouth agape, clearly taken aback. The family's faces fell once more, and I could feel the weight of the injustice pressing down on my chest. The mayor's expression shifted from surprise to anger. "What do you mean, we don't serve them?" he demanded, his voice rising. "They are customers just like everyone else here. You will serve them. Now." Tom crossed his arms defiantly. "I don't want their kind in here. This is a family diner, and we don't need them ruining it." The diner erupted into murmurs, shock rippling through the crowd. I could feel the warmth of anger rising within me. I had seen enough. This wasn't just about the family, it was about all of us, about standing up against the hate that seeped into our everyday lives. I stepped forward, my voice shaky but determined. "Tom, that's not right. They deserve to be treated with respect, just like everyone else. This is not who we are." All eyes turned to me, and I felt the heat of judgment, but I pushed through. "We have to stand up against this kind of behavior. We can't let hate define us. If we do nothing, we're just as guilty." The mayor nodded in agreement, his eyes fierce. "Exactly. This is a community, and we must support each other, regardless of our backgrounds." The tension in the diner was thick, but I felt a sense of solidarity building. One by one, customers began to speak up, sharing their own stories of discrimination and prejudice. Each voice added to the chorus of support for the family, drowning out the negativity that had tried to silence them. Finally, the owner of the diner, a kind-hearted woman named Ruth, stepped out from the kitchen. "I won't have this in my diner," she said firmly. "Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. We are a family here, and that means all families are welcome." Tom shifted uncomfortably, his bravado fading, he glanced around at the growing crowd, realizing he was outnumbered. The family looked up, their faces a mix of gratitude and disbelief. I could see hope returning to their eyes. "Let me serve you," I said, rushing over to their table. "What can I get you?" "Anything you want, it's on the house." The mother smiled through her tears, her kids beaming with excitement. As I took their order, the atmosphere in the diner shifted. What had started as a tense, divisive moment transformed into one of unity and understanding. The mayor joined them at the table, chatting and laughing, making them feel welcomed and valued. Tom stood in silence, a shadow of his former self. He looked around, taking in the support for the family, and I could see the realization dawning on him. He had chosen the wrong side and now he was alone. As the family's food arrived, the diner erupted in applause. It was a moment of triumph, a moment of love overcoming hate. I felt a sense of pride wash over me. We had stood together, and we had spoken out against injustice. Later that day, as I cleaned up after the lunch rush, I spotted Tom sitting alone in a corner booth. His head hung low, and I could see the regret etched on his face. I took a deep breath, my heart heavy but determined. I walked over to him, ready to have the tough conversation. "Tom, what you did today was wrong," I said gently. "But it's never too late to change, we can do better." He looked up, shame flooding his features. "I know," he whispered. "I didn't realize how deep my prejudice ran until today. I thought I was just following the crowd, but I see now how wrong I was. I want to change." I nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. We can help each other. It starts with acknowledging our mistakes and learning from them. Together, we can create a better environment for everyone. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the diner, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We had faced the darkness of prejudice, and together we had ignited a spark of change. The road ahead would be challenging, but I knew we were ready to walk it together. We had learned that standing up for what is right requires courage, compassion, and the willingness to change. And in that moment, I understood the true power of community. Thank you so much for watching this story. We hope it inspired you and reminded you of the power of kindness, courage, and standing up for what's right. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for weekly content that will move, uplift, and surprise you. Hit the like button if this story resonated with you, and leave a comment below to share your thoughts or similar experiences. We love hearing from you, and don't keep this story to yourself. Share it with your friends and family, so they can experience its powerful message too. Together, we can spread positivity and make a difference. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you in the next story.